was a lot of crew that I met either for just that day and never saw them again, or consistently with like months kind of spread between those shoots. But I think at the end of the day, it was really important to know and feel that like everyone on set has a place and a purpose, and we're all sort of in this together. It's not just the director and the DP, who probably typically get the spotlight and the credit, but like everyone to me was equally as important. And I wanted a way to kind of take what the essence of that feeling was and like sort of bottle it into a pin, or a way to like bottle, I don't know, like a stinger pin, for example, and to just kind of wear it out in the world, like off the set. And like when you see someone with like a C-stand pin or a sandbag pin, there's like this
understanding. Yes.
We are the
Get Reelisms Podcast.
I am Adam Chase Ready.
And I am Christine Chen. And surprise, we're both filmmakers.
We get into it by sharing secrets, advice, and gossip in filmmaking.
And we even get our other filmmaking friends to share theirs too.
So please, everybody, join us for
an ode to filmmaking.
It's clearly run by two filmmakers who have ADHD.
Exactly. I was about to say, like, we don't
ADHD.
We don't address like half of the things that we were supposed to talk about. So you ready to do this, Christine?
Let's do it.
Okay. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Get Reelisms Podcast, episode 153. My name is Adam Chase Rennie.
And my name is Christine Chen. And today we have a really exciting special guest. And I'm going to let Noah introduce himself. Noah, take it away.
Hey, nice to be here. This is awesome. I'm Noah Schulman. I'm the owner of Filmpin Society. I also am a creative and been in the media film space for, I don't want to date myself, but 15 plus years. So
we are all old here, so we're good. You're amongst old people. That's awesome. Noah, I'd been following for a while. I remember, I feel like it was like 3 or 4 where it popped up, and I was like, these are the coolest things ever. And then it got pins for my friends and everything, and then just been following the trajectory of how your company has grown and where it's like branched off. You have a creeper from afar who goes and checks all the time. I'm like, what? Okay, what are they doing now?
Your regular internet stalker, Yeah,
I am your internet stalker. But I think the part that fascinates me is that I think there's this, I don't know if it's necessarily a new trend, but I think these days filmmakers, because of how shitty it is having to survive in the industry, they've become fascinated with branding and with creating their own products and finding a different source of income, really. But like, why did you choose to do Filmpin Society? How did that come to be, and how did you even start in the film industry?
Sure. All right. We go back.
Okay.
Let's go back.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
You can remember.
I mean, I was definitely like probably most of us filmmakers, always had a VHS cam around the house making
hell yeah
home videos, and I think at the time I was like super into like 90s and 80s wrestling, so I used to like have my own little desk and stand up, and
oh my god,
attitude era of wrestling, the best era of wrestling. Yeah, come on now. Yeah.
And then it turned into, like I had my mini DV cam kind of literally everywhere that I went in like high school, and like, I mean, I've been still actively archiving all my mini DV tapes because they're probably rotting. But I used to take it like all the concerts I used to go to in the city, and just like film my entire life. It was kind of crazy. And so, I was sort of when I was going to school, I actually went to art school. I didn't go to film school, which was really kind of came full circle for me, kind of years later, just in my approach to how I sort of saw filmmaking and storytelling in kind of every facet of. It wasn't a specific thing to me. Like storytelling to me, can always take on many kinds of forms, not just watching something on screen. It's how you experience a brand. It's the packaging. It's like all of that tells a story and a feeling. So, anyway, so yeah, when I was, applying to schools and stuff like that, I was sort of in a place where I was either going to do like video and film or like graphic design. I was always into both. I was never good at drawing, even though that was like required in every school, which is so bizarre. It's like I suck at drawing. Like I tried, but and so I just decided, to go fully into video and film and new media, as they called it then. And it was very like art. I went to art school in Chicago, and it was very unstructured. There was a few, like the fashion world and architecture had very specific structures and majors, if you will. But I kind of got to like wander around and try different things. So I, took like a documentary class. I took a Super 8 class. I took video installation, like really, out there kind of stuff. And then I did a lot of screen printing and that was the first kind of time where I was, I really felt like my homework wasn't my homework. It was my work.
Yeah.
I really took advantage of being in that scenario and that environment and learning. And like, I loved art school. Like I just like thrived and I just loved it. And so, yeah, so I did that. So my focus was film, video, new media. And, I was at the time also trying to do a lot of music video work, which I don't want to put dates on anything, but the budgets were kind of slowly tanking with the music industry and probably the whole industry. But yeah, no, it was fun. And then I, when I graduated, I started my own production company. I did that kind of freelancing, on my own for several years, really focusing on like commercial work, a lot of music video work. I was doing a lot of posts, like I was doing a lot of editing and animation.
Yeah.
And, I think when I started to see like where things were going within the music video world, I sort of used editing as a way to open up, to be able to work on different industries. So I was doing, at a certain point, I was doing a lot of fashion work. I was doing a lot of commercial work and not just stuck in the music world. So, so did that for a while. And then I sort of got into the full-time, job situation, kind of in different capacities. I joined Vox Media, which at the time was like just starting to grow, and they were starting to build out their video team, and we were literally across the street in like a shitty studio across from I don't know if you've ever been to B&H in New York, but it's like
Yes. Oh my gosh. When I went and visited New York, that was the first place I went was B&H. But then I also discovered that it's not open on Sundays. Yeah. Rudely.
Yeah.
I was like, what? People, because most of the film and stuff, vendors are all run by Jewish people, and so nothing is ever open on Sundays. And I was like, what?
It's Friday to Saturday. Sundays they should be
okay
open.
So maybe it's Friday to Saturday. Yeah, that was just very confused. Yeah. So Friday to Saturdays, yes.
Yeah, it was across from B&H. It was very much like a very startup vibe. So I worked at Vox and worked on, sort of branded, basically the early days of branded content. And then I was brought on full-time when Vox basically started their in-house agency, which was called Vox Creative. So I was working on, like full video campaigns for like Jaguar and Ford and Nike, and like really got to like do all this kind of just awesome work directing and editing. And after that, I joined a company called MIC, which was sort of like the millennial news site at the time, adjacent to Vox. And that was really, really empowering because the brand itself had a very kind of specific point of view on their editorial side, on, telling, kind of underrepresented voices and stories, and a lot of diverse voices. And that translated into the advertising side, which is the side that I was on, which was really kind of nice to be a part of and really made me think kind of completely differently about storytelling and the types of stories that are just as important to tell, and that translated, I believe I was still at Mike when I started Filmpin, because that sort of mindset really was sort of at the foundation of part of the reason why I started Filmpin. And how we got to Filmpin was a good friend of mine his name is Maurizio Alvarado, who runs a company called Rockin' Pins in LA. His company focuses a lot on like licensing, kind of older properties that, are like classic, but like need some love and revival and kind of new ways to think about merch. And he does a lot of stuff with like the Fleischer estate, like Fleischer cartoons, like Gumby and Betty Boop and those kind of cartoons. Yeah. And he's done tremendously well for these properties that they just need someone young and cool and kind of revive their, and he's been like restoring. Now he went from like the pins to now like going in the Fleischer archives and restoring all the original cartoons in 4K and screening them, like, which is awesome.
That is rad.
So we became good friends because he had licensed a few album covers from. Without boring you too much, my father was in a progressive rock band in the 70s. They've not performed in like almost 40 years. They were called Gentle Giant.
Okay.
And so I got turned on to see and made pins and patches of the band, and someone had sent them to me. This is when I was a lot kind of less involved in. I do a lot of work now with Gentle Giant to kind of revive and the legacy. He had shared some of the pins and patches with me, and I was like, this is like really cool. I wasn't necessarily into pins or patches particularly, but I think I love the idea of taking something old and reviving it, like what he's doing. And so we just started talking about pins and, finding like a niche audience and kind of serving that audience. And the first thing that came to mind, like just on a whim, I was just like, well, the people I know are like filmmakers and creatives, like maybe there's something with that and building a brand serving that audience. At the time, I was spending a lot more time on set, directing, going and traveling a lot. And I think, it's so I was just like, you know what, like, it was literally like one of those trite light bulb moments. And I decided just to like go for it. And I spent about 6 months figuring out what the hell I wanted to do with it. But ironically enough, the name Film Pin Society actually came pretty quickly. And the idea that it stood for FPS was also just
That's awesome.
kind of by chance.
For a second. Yes.
I knew I wanted the word society in there because I wanted it to go back to sort of like what the essence of what the brand meant to me and what I wanted it to mean to other people, which was like, just something special or being part of a community. And I know society can maybe feel a little, it is a little higher brow. Like there's some, that goes into the branding and the products that we make, which is, we pay a lot of attention to detail and quality. And, but it really kind of came back to a feeling that I got every time I was on set, which was like, there was a lot of crew that I met either for just that day and never saw them again, or consistently with like months kind of spread between those shoots. But I think at the end of the day, it was really important to know and feel that like everyone on set has a place and a purpose, and we're all sort of in this together. It's not just the director and the DP, who probably typically get the spotlight and the credit, but like everyone to me was equally as important. And I wanted a way to kind of take what the essence of that feeling was and like sort of bottle it into a pin, or a way to like bottle, I don't know, like a stinger pin, for example, and to just kind of wear it out in the world, like off the set. And like when you see someone with like a C-stand pin or a sandbag pin, there's like this under kind of
understanding. Yes.
Yeah.
You're part of a society. You're part. Yeah, you're part of a, because only really if being in that world or having access or understand of that world will you give a crap about what a C-stand is or know immediately what it is or what it means, and because it's the stuff that you day to day deal with. And I think what I love about the film world is that we know we are all grinding and hustling, and so if you're in it, there's this like immediate respect aspect and a like, oh, I know you're suffering too.
Right.
Oh, you're an idiot just like me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that kind of goes back to just like where I was at with like when I was at Mike, of just that same diverse voices, like really being in that environment really, I think, was integral to me figuring out what I wanted the essence and the story of the brand to be from a real authentic place, from not just like some, corporate Joe Schmo that doesn't know anything about filmmaking. Like I'm part of it too, which is important. Because there is an authenticity and understanding like what would resonate with other creatives and filmmakers. And so I took honestly I took about 6 months. I didn't really have a deadline or anything, and I really worked with my designer on figuring out what the branding was, what the logo was. I had a whole like brand book, and I knew that I wanted to launch with like more than one product because I just wanted there to be enough once to kind of launch it. So I launched with 6 pins at the time. And honestly, I just really dove deep and figured out, I kind of used everything in my kind of creative arsenal to figure out manufacturing, product design, working with vendors overseas, and wanted to set up my Shopify account and figured out shopping and shipping and e-com and all that kind of stuff. And I took 6 months to kind of just try to set myself up for success. And I remember back then I was just like, if I get like one sale, that would mean like I maybe did something right or cool or accomplished something. So that was 6 years ago. So I'm still doing it.
And 6 years ago, you started Film Pin Society. 6 years ago,
So
right on.
When is I can't math right now.
It's 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
2018. Okay.
Yeah.
That tracks because I think Get Reelisms didn't come out till like 2019, year after. So, but I had been seeing at that point. It was this. I would be seeing your brand, loving. I'd been in the industry for a while, and I think you took it, nailed it in terms of capturing the sense of pride of what it means to have a pin like that, and for somebody outside of a set to immediately see and hone in on it and say, oh, like why? It's either, oh, you're in film, or are you a sound like it's an instant, type, oh great, and is it immediately a conversation or whatnot, and that's like that's great. Yeah. No,
and I think there's always been, like I truthfully, I get a lot of messages of, I try to represent every department, with the idea that someone's actually going to buy the pins or the products.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, it's still a business, and and I think there are certain products or items that people have requested that like just won't translate into a physical product in the way that I felt would be worthy of, people actually buying it. So I think that's always been kind of the challenge. And also, that finding that balance of like, I knew something like a slate, for example, will connect with
always translate. Yes.
Right. But like even to like just I love movies, like the director's chair could just be just a casual movie.
Yes. Movies.
But a C-stand is very inside baseball, and that
very
rules.
Inside, yes, which I love. Very inside. Somebody actually did ask a question.
Yeah.
So they said, "What do you think is a bad director?" But what do you think?
No, he's saying. So they're saying, what do you think is better, bad director but great cameraman, or great director but bad cameraman? That's a question for y'all. Because it's take it away. My department technically, but close, I guess. Yeah. So what do y'all think?
Okay, I'll take a stab at it. I think it's better to be a great director and a bad cameraman because you can always hire somebody to do the other part.
I was gonna say, you're a good director.
You're gonna know who to hire to get the shot that's in your head. So if you're not a good director, you can't even think of the right shot to and you are in reliance of your good cameraman to come up with the idea to make you look good. But if you already know within your heart how you see it in your mind, it's not that you just, as a good director to me, is somebody who can communicate. It's really that. I don't think it's necessarily somebody who is skilled at something. You can be a great storyteller, a good director, and not know the ins and outs of a camera and still be fine, because you go and hire crew for that who know. And most of the time you want to hire people who know a lot more than you, who hyperfixate on their specific department. And as long as you are a good leader and can communicate what you're seeing and it translates to their brain exactly what you're seeing, I think that's what makes sense as what a good director is. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, I think there's the kind of the more experience that I gained on and off set and just honing in on, various parts of filmmaking over the years, like I've always found, especially, when I was doing more of a creative director role at Mike, and I was also most recently leading creative at Sony Music, Sony's catalog. There's an immense amount of power and which I feel like comes with experience to be able to take a step back and not do everything if you can. If I understand there's certain scenarios you all have many hats to wear.
There's control freaks out there for sure.
yeah, totally. But I think, with experience and knowing also like who to bring in, if you're going to bring in that camera person, like what is, everyone has different personalities. It's all,
right.
Like when I brought on specific animators and editors on campaigns at Sony, like I had to factor in what their personalities were because of who the end client was too. And so there's a lot of power in being able to take a step back, but it's 100% all about communicating. I think, I also do think, which this wasn't mentioned on that question, is like great directors, great editors can also be amazing directors.
Oh, yes.
That's like the killer combo, because
I know. I say that all the time. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned this. Every time, I think when I first taught you, Adam, I think that was the first thing I mentioned. I said, you're going to learn how to edit, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Like literally that day when we first met, she took me to a coffee shop and showed me Adobe Premiere Pro.
And then I quickly realized, but then I quickly realized, I was like, well, Adam, I'm not sure if editing is the right word for you. However, now you know how to do it. I think you are better in art. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, and but that's the thing, though, right? Is like you sort of find your lane and your avenue, and just because like there's a bad cameraman, with a bad director, like it more falls onto the director's side, right? Because like at the end of the day, it's like you're serving a vision, no matter what. And like me working in art department, I feel like. And I could be wrong, but I feel like more on the camera side is very technical. Like they're like those people are dealing with like science shit, like geometry and shit like that. Whereas like art department is like make it look pretty, and I'm like okay, like in some instances in the indie world, but most of the time, like you would work with a director who knows exactly what the frame is gonna be, at all times. Yeah. So, we always like to thrive on that. Although like that's not to say that there aren't any creative cameramen. Like I feel I make a blanket sort of statement where it's like anybody who works in the film crew are filmmakers. You know what I mean? Like even if you are a PA, you're still a filmmaker. You still are participating in this medium, and you're making a valid you're making like good decisions based off of what serves the vision of the overall production and the director and all that. So it all definitely counts. But what I wanted to ask you, Noah, was you mentioned music videos back in the day. It's interesting because like I never quite realized until you brought it up that like there wasn't really like there was like a huge like downturn in terms of like production quality for music videos. Like there's definitely like eras of music videos where it felt like it was very different from the 90s, like with Nirvana music videos, than you got to like like rap videos and stuff like that, which a lot of times the production quality is great. And also I didn't quite realize, but like a lot more people are like producing it themselves. Like they have like their own like budgetary thing, and like they got their own like locations and whatnot. Like it feels like a lot more creativeness is poured into film production now than it was back then, because it felt like it was like you were so strapped by the studio and by their ways of like how you are supposed to go about it. Was that the similar experience with you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of the, I don't know if I'm answering this right, but I feel like, I mean, nowadays, not even just music videos, like, I mean, I remember years, like when, and this sounds crazy, but like, I remember when like iMovie first came out.
Yeah.
And, we were all on like Final Cut 7. I was on Final Cut 7 at the time, like for life, and I was forced to move to Adobe. I was like, what the hell is a subscription model? What?
Yeah. No, I was like, what the hell is Final Cut X? What the hell is this? So ugly. So bad.
But yeah, like I remember when like iMovie came out, and I feel like I wasn't the only one where like we weren't. I mean, I never touched iMovie, but it was the idea that like now video editing is being like democratized, and like anyone can make videos, and anyone. I mean, I think equipment is, like anyone can. I mean, 5D was like that. That changed a lot of shit.
Yeah.
For like when depth of field was a thing, like
yes.
At the 5D, we had the 7D. Before that, I had I don't know how far back, Christina, you were.
No, all the things I identify because I on my, like when you talked about the mini DVs and stuff, I have a bunch of mini DVs literally sitting on the shelf right now that I'm like, I need to go digitize and stuff like that. And I saw the VHS camera that my dad has, and that I used to play, and that's how I started to get into films. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. My first, I remember, I couldn't afford the 5D, but I had the T2i, and I was just amazed that I could achieve depth of field. Like that was just mind blowing to me, and that what I was filming looked like the commercials on TV.
I mean, even before that, before 7D, I was like, when I got my DVX 100A, the Panasonic, it was one of the first cameras with 24 frames. And I remember because it was the first prosumer, at least affordable, 24 frame camera. And I just remember being like, not understanding what I was looking at. I was like, but it looks like a movie. And we had never, it was, it was like 30 frame. I think years before that, I had I don't know if you remember the Canon GL1, and then there was the XL1.
Yes, the XL one or two. Yeah.
That one. But, but yeah, at one point I was shooting music videos on the DVX with at the time I had the Red Rock micro adapter.
Yes, I know that. Yes.
You put the adapter, for people that don't know, you would be able to stick an adapter in the front of the camera to be able to use actual lenses. So it would focus in on a piece of glass inside this box. It was the Red Rock Micro, and then like the Lettuce 35, I think was the other one. But I don't. Yeah, I feel like I'm skirting the question because.
No, you answered it. I mean, it's well, it was just like about like industry, like how studios really put a stranglehold on like creative decisions when it comes to like production of what, because like, man, like it feels like nowadays with music videos, like people are very fucking like ballsy creatively, if that makes sense. Like
I think it's. Yeah. I'm going to jump into for that. Sure. I think it's because things have shrunk in terms of size and weight and price and everything. And because of that, you can very much be a one production team. And you kind of are forced to, because budgets have shrunk too for music videos significantly. And so you're lucky if somebody's like, oh, I've got, usually it's, and I don't know if it's like, hey, I have $2,000 that I saved. What can we make? But I have this like giant, like crazy, thing that I want to do, artsy farts, and it's usually that. You usually end up spending more money than you actually make anything, because because it's fun. Music videos to me are like experimental films. That you get to do. The stories don't necessarily have to completely make sense. They can, go off and other tangents and whatnot. But I think it's just because now, you can have a slider and put on like a really cool camera and just do a lot art-wise, and then be a one person. I grabbed some tubes. Those are amazing, Titan tubes. And could light everything myself, so give me some Titan tubes, some cool art set deck that I can, and then you can make magic happen. I think that's just what it is.
I think at the time the biggest barrier to entry for most people would have been
equipment,
tied to equipment. Yeah, really. I mean, I didn't have the 5D either. That was too much for me. I had the 7D a year or two after that, but. Yeah, I mean, I think the landscape, I mean, obviously has changed. Everyone is, in a sense, like their own brand and their own production. You know what I mean? Like
they're marketing it themselves. Like social media is like the biggest like marketing tool. Like most people just do it.
You
themselves.
Can put things out, and people can see it and market. And you don't have. Yeah, it's very interesting because we're seeing like the extremes. Yes, you can do all these things by yourself with no budget, but now artists are suffering from that too. Like we also need to make a living and have, make money as well. Just because we can do it doesn't mean that is how it should be, in order for us to continue to be able to do it from an economic standpoint and live off of it. So yeah, this is a weird
Yeah.
like come to Jesus moment right now with stream and in the way we consume things. Yeah.
I mean, the attention span. Also, just like, I feel like there's still two sides to the coin, which is like, there's still like beautifully shot, production stuff, production quality, beautifully lit. But there's also like, we're staying on music videos, like, people, I forgot the ones off the top of my head, but like, I think even Lady Gaga did a video on like an iPhone, or, I mean, it was Apple or something. They had all this
Right.
$1 million equipment, but then just put an iPhone, but like, I mean, it's just the state of, it's all tied to the equipment and what you can get in people's hands. And also just what people, you
are into.
Some people, like to feel native on each platform. Like, for example, like ads tend to do better when they're shot
vertically,
vertically and on your phone, and like, do a quick little product video instead of lighting the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
less produced. Yeah,
the kind of ad side of me gets that, but I still have that appreciation for
cinema.
craft of cinema.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
No. And it's just it changes with everybody's consumption tastes and what, and you do. Much as you want to be like, I create art for the sake of art and just all about me, you do have to make stuff that the audience, is interested in,
Well,
I mean, you don't have to, then you just won't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you just won't make a living.
Right. But like most people, like most consumers, like need to attach it visually, right? Like when it comes to like, even with music videos, like, I could be wrong, Noah, so please stop me if I am. But like, I felt like back in the day, like music videos weren't really. It was like people who made music videos were like they had like an artistic like expression when it came to like this specific song, or like the artist like wanted it this way. And I know some bands and some artists do now, but like it feels way more like a marketing strategy than anything, because it's like, you want to catch the attention span. And most people, unlike myself, I would listen to a full length album no matter what. Like I have records, I have, I would listen from an album from beginning to end as much as like even for a movie. But it's harder to market a movie by forcing people to sit down and wait 90 minutes to an hour, or an hour and a half, 2 hours to watch this thing.
Well, I mean,
they get music videos and it's already marketing it straight up from there, just take it to the SoundCloud account, and then there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I even remember like when you were talking about like the movie stuff, like I remember at some point a few years ago where I just started seeing that it was clearly tied to how people consume social media. Like the fact that we have, a little, what is it, like 7-second bumper teaser on a teaser.
Yeah.
Like just
man, that,
you know what I mean?
off.
Like here's the teaser for the teaser.
Yeah.
Now we have you the first 3 seconds. It's just, I remember when that first started happening, I'm like, here, like this is clearly like an initiative from the studio. I mean, now that's all that you see. It's just, it's like a 3-second bumper before the teaser, which was just, I remember when I first saw it, it was just wild to me.
Yeah.
That's where it was shifting, but yeah.
There's a lot of creativity with it.
One.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying, Noah?
While we're on music videos, one thing that I would absolutely suggest, this was like literally like my I would say like my visual film school, which I'm sure you guys either have seen it.
Sure.
Okay.
Out of print, but I don't know if you've ever seen this collection of DVDs of Spike Jonze, Chris Cunningham.
No, I haven't.
Mark Romanek. Like these.
That is
this
awesome.
is like music video. Yeah,
and that's the thing too. That's how I got into the White Stripes. Actually, was Michel Gondry's Hardest Button to Button. It was just Michel Gondry just like having like Meg White, the drummer, like measure the beats and like multiply like the drum kits, and like it's such a cool. That's it with the subway and all that. That's what got me into like the White Stripes. So I guess like it did its job, right, by like getting me into a band that I otherwise wouldn't see. It just like popped up on MTV. Wow. Long time ago. Holy shit. But yeah, it was like on MTV in the morning before school. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I wanna listen to this, you know? And that's like, I bought that album the next day at a Tower Records for those
Tower
of you.
Records.
For those of you.
It is amazing. It is very amazing how quickly the way we make films and how we consume it has changed in the last 10 years. It's ridiculous how much it has changed.
Yeah. I mean, I started, I don't know if you guys have, deviate too much from the pins, but, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on the whole like AI space and everything. Cause that's something I've been dabbling in a little bit.
Me too. I've been dabbling on it. You know what? I just feel like everything is a tool. It's a tool. I'm not in I understand because of the strikes and everything, there are things that need to be addressed to protect creators and whatnot. But in the end, I do feel that it's just, not only is it a tool, it's going to be on the people who are able to dissect it and see how it can help or add to their creation, so I think it's exciting. It's just another way of creating that you can use. I don't feel like it's going to replace certain, but that even if it does, I think that's just the natural way that technology works, is that at a certain point we are figuring out ways to do certain things more efficiently. Does that that means there are certain positions that become outdated and everything, and yes, that is sad, but I just think that's the progression, that's the natural state of progression. And I think if we can just take AI as not this evil thing that's going to take over our lives, but more of a like, this could amplify the way I create and add to what I can now do, right? It's like visual effects. There's shit we can do now that we could never have done. Like James Cameron keeps pulling things out of his butt, being like, all right, well, I had this like 20 years ago, but I couldn't do it. So now I can because of the technology that's here and everything. And I think it's exciting, but I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to stuff like this. So
I mean, I've been mostly like super into, I don't know if you know Runway. That's like one of the it's like Sora, Runway.
Oh, okay.
Sora's like closed, but Runway's a really, really cool, powerful app. And I actually just I just started messing around with it like 2, 3. I mean, for a while, but actually just diving into it 2 or 3 months ago, and I ended up like going down this creative rabbit hole, and then I made this short film, and it's called Skate or Die, and it's like this kind of post-apocalyptic 90s skate film.
I love it.
It's 2.5 minutes, but it's like it was a really organic. It's as funny as it sounds, like an organic creative process, and there's no matter what, at least right now, who knows in 10 years, but like there has to be a human element to bring it all together. Like I had to cut it, I had to do the sound design. Like there's a lot of, it wasn't just pushing a button, So I do. I think it's exactly like that, like what you said. I think it's a tool, and I'm figuring out how I can bring that tool into my current workflow on the post and animation that I do. So
one of my favorite memes that I've seen, I'm probably gonna butcher it, about AI was, clients still need to articulate what they want, so we're fine.
That's true. That is true.
That's why we will always have jobs. It's because they still don't know what they want, so they're not. It's not going to take over.
No,
they need somebody to interface with to help them figure out what they want.
I mean, it will drastically improve in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I'm sure of it, right? But like, just like we talk about, like any other tool, things just improve, and like yeah, I think AI is pretty interesting, but it does serve like its whole slew of like scary shit, right? I don't like the idea of data scraping people's entire filmography just to capture their face and their voice, and then you sign a piece of paper and they give you like $500 or $1,000 and like, okay, we're going to use this in perpetuity forever, so you're never gonna ever step foot on a film set ever again. Deuces. That's basically it. And I think that's scary, but like at the same time, I don't know, like all of that like requires a lot of like money, like a lot of like AI, as much as it's pretty fucking awesome, it still is counterproductive in terms of like, if you're going to pour your money into something that is going to look kind of okay versus like, oh, let's just hire creatives and hire literal filmmakers to execute this properly while using AI as like a great tool. Because I'm sure like I've seen AI like storyboards and stuff like that, and I thought that's really fucking cool. Because like as myself, I'm also a very bad drawer, and
I'm a terrible drawer.
I'm a very bad drawer. But like most of the time, a lot of filmmakers will say, well, that's not important as long as you can get your vision on the thing, even if it's by like stick figures and like scribbles and shit like that. You can get your idea across, but like to have that power of AI to create like powerful like storyboards and shit like that I feel like it changes the game a lot for the good,
But I feel like we're at a point now where it's sort of that same feeling when like I said, the iMovie thing came out, and then like the 5D came out, where it's like, sure, like Joe Schmo can type a text prompt and get this beautiful image, but I think my biggest learning from doing that little short piece is, at the end of the day, like, sure, we can have the most beautiful camera, the shittiest camera, the AI to make everything, but like it still comes back to story.
Yep,
that's it. It's really
story.
simple. Yep. Like, sure, I'll do a unicorn flying over a fire explosion, but like, cool, now what? Like, swipe, like, it doesn't do anything. So
which I mean, that ties to that one person, Michael's question of like, oh, is it better be a good director or a bad camera? And it's ultimately it's whoever can tell the best story, and you can have the highest skills in terms of technicality, but if you don't know how to tell something that connects to people on some visceral level, then it doesn't really matter.
No.
Yeah, that's why there's like ads that are beautifully shot and everything, but then somebody who has an iPhone and shoots something that connects to somebody in a certain way goes viral, that's, who's to say that that's better or worse marketing. It's awesome. Like some of the stuff that I love has been like some of the viral marketing things, like that is so smart, like that's hilarious or whatever. So ultimately comes down to story for sure. But yes, we are. Go ahead.
No, but I think what's interesting is like, we're talking about all this digital AI and everything, but I feel like it's sort of honestly like the opposite of going back to the film pen stuff. It's like it's all physical, real products that you can hold in your hand. It's like the complete opposite of that. I think that will never go away. People will always want that, like, tangible. I mean, it goes to the like stream. Do you ever actually own that film that you purchased on Amazon Prime? Like, you don't. It's a license.
Yeah,
physical media.
I had a whole fucking Blu-ray collection. I mean, it's all gone at this point. But I'm like, the next like few years, I eventually want to like build the library back up, because I swear I spend more time trying to fucking pick something than actually watching the damn film or series, because there's just too much to look at.
Well, I was actually talking about this with and I know we're about that time to finish up, so we'll have our remaining thoughts. But one memory that I had that I felt like what didn't make me feel like a decisive weirdo nowadays, where like I flip through Netflix and I'm just like, I kind of get like overwhelmed fatigue, where I'm just like, oh fuck, I don't want to flip through all this shit, you know. It's like the modern day channel surfing. It's like, oh Jesus, like this is horrible. But like, I remember like the memories, and I guess I'm dating myself again, going to Blockbuster or going to Hollywood Video, and like you only had like my sister and I, we would go to like the horror section, and there would be like 15, maybe 20 movies, and it's like, okay, this is all we have. We can maybe rent one movie for the next 2 or 3 days, you know, until the late fees start piling up. And we would that's all we had. Those were the choices that we had, and we find like some of the best hidden indie films ever, like just by doing that alone. Whereas now it's like, you know, it's cool to see other like shit, but like the horror section of most of these platforms are like 20 fucking pages long, and it's just like, it's just titles you never heard of, and like some of the posters are just like, is this AI generated? I don't even want to fucking deal with this shit. Like what? Yeah, probably. Yeah. You know, so I there's something tangible with like great like physical media like that, and I guess I'm just old where I'm like, I kind of miss that, where, you know, it's like back in the day, it's like
it comes back around.
Yeah, I think it will, you know, but like movie theaters are kind of turning into record stores now at this point, right? Where it comes to like, you know, it's all novelty at this point, which sucks, but like, you know, people still like an experience, right? You know, like it's great to go in the movie theater and hear people like in a communicative experience, like react to the thing that they're watching, which is a beautiful thing, but also it's so much easier to pay $7 a month, stay home and just fucking flip on something that's on HBO Max or some shit, you know?
Yeah, but I think what you are honing in on, which goes in segues into Film Pimp Society, is that whenever there are new technologies and things, people are going to be temporarily distracted about the shiny new object and figure out, like, play with it and everything. But ultimately, it will still come back to humans and what humans like. We like experiences. And so there is nothing truly compared to a physical in-your-face experience versus, you know, a virtual one. And so because of that, yes, the book is always going to be there. The pin is always something that you can see when you're walking on the street, and you'll be able to connect with and everything. And I think that is why we continue to tell stories, because we want to connect with our fellow man or woman, or, you know, person. So and
I think that's been the most satisfying part of starting film. It's just like, I mean, anytime I get like a photo of someone wearing it on set, or, you know, like it's funny. I've been on set where I'd like, you know, handed out a few pins to the crew, and they're like, wait, I know this brand. I'm like, it's my brand. I had no idea. And they're
that's
pleasantly
awesome.
surprised. And that's always been really nice. So yeah, you know, it's been great. And, you know, there's more things on the horizon.
Yes.
You know,
what are you most excited about that's coming out for Film Pin Society? I'm excited that you and that Get Reelisms and Film Pin Society are doing a giveaway for the month of August. Woohoo! So in the month of August, there's a specific post on both of our IGs that if you go and like it and tag your friends, I think 3 of them, and make sure that you both follow Film Pin Society and Get Reelisms, you can win one of Noah's Film Pin Society awesome film pin collections. So do you possibly have that on you that you could show? It's okay if you don't. Gosh darn it.
It's 3 pins in a box, and it's very nice.
Yes.
And the giveaway is very exciting, and make sure to go on Instagram. That's where we're doing the giveaway. And I'm going to be releasing another keychain, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be the toolbar, which is a really big seller for us.
That's awesome.
That'll be a nice kind of cool keychain. We're still, selling the can. I got to show some products here.
Candle's cool.
The candle,
Nice.
Yes.
which is another kind of creative endeavor that I was just like, I want to make a cinema
awesome.
lens candle. And, it's all like custom. I mean, the whole thing was custom from start to finish, and worked with this really great candle. I don't know what you call them, a candle pourer in Brooklyn. We came up with like a custom, aroma and everything, custom scent. And then,
What does it smell like? A camera bag?
A
Just
film
kidding.
set?
It's like this-
Sweaty film crew members.
Sweaty film crew.
I've been asked that, but no. It's a blend of like sandalwood, firewood, and sage. So it's like a smoky.
That's
It
great.
doesn't smell like a lens or plastic or. But yeah, and then we're obviously restocking these all the time. These
Yeah.
storyboard sticky notes, which have sold
Oh.
really, really well. So.
Oh yeah, dude, that's awesome.
One's blank. All right, backward. There we go. Yeah, these
I
are like
love
sticky
that.
notes designed for storyboarding, going back to analog and physical.
That's
like,
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just thinking of other ways to expand, the line, and obviously with the core being the pins, coming out with new pins. I have a bunch of things already designed. It's just a matter of when and when it
Yeah.
makes sense to release it. So, but yeah, you can, besides our website, where a lot of people have found us at the Academy Museum in
Yes.
LA.
So exciting. I
Huge
remember when I first
supporter.
saw it, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
very,
Yeah,
very happy about that.
Academy Museum, Film Tools carries us. Museum of Moving Image at one point carried us. We're in a bunch of like boutiques globally as well. So, but filmpinsociety.com is like the main hub. We're on Etsy as well. We're on Amazon. Just to try to expand as far reaching as we can.
Far-reaching, yes. Tell people
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
this. Yes.
Yeah.
Gift your aspiring filmmaker something cool. These pins are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Now that we're coming to the latter half of the podcast, you know what it is. Pick up your books today. GetReelisms.com, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful book. Get your beautiful
It's a
hats.
physical product. Yes.
Get yourself a tee. Get yourself a physical product, because you may never know. It's going to be worth something. Maybe one of those pins that you got from Film Pin Society is going to resell for like $1,000. You don't know.
Maybe.
It's like
You'll be
trading
like,
cards.
"Back
You know
in
what I
the
mean?
day." Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Charizard.
We also have
Go ahead. Sorry.
we also like a few years ago launched like vintage film related pins as well, which are like kind of vintage finds that we scoured looking for, which like those are there's only one or two of each, so it's like
Right.
that's always been a fun kind of thing to release vintage drops as well, so always look out for that.
Yeah. I truly, honestly love that you came here. We got to talk about physical media at a certain
Yeah,
point.
and thanks
This
for
is great.
letting us take you on multiple crazy directions, because Get Reelisms is run by DG.
We are tangent heavy, folks. Free podcast.
Yes.
Okay? Free
Pretty
podcast.
tangent heavy podcast.
Yes.
Thank you so
So,
much, Noah,
thank
for
you very
joining us.
much.
This is awesome. This was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
You know where to find us, ladies and gentlemen. GetReelisms.com. Subscribe, and please pick up yourself a pin from Film Pin Society. Go follow.
Join
Join,
the back to school
Yeah,
giveaway, please.
exactly.
Go look for it. Yes.
Yes.
And you want to show up back to school. You want to show up in some fly ass fucking pins. You know what I'm saying? Like
Flair.
that's
Pins and
pretty
numbers.
sick.
Pins and numbers.
Yeah, dude. Like I wore pins in high school. I'm sure they still are. I hope they're still a thing. If jellies
People are
came back,
viral.
I think pins can come back too.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Noah. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thanks for the questions too,
And
guys.
thanks for the
Yeah, thank
questions,
you,
y'all.
guys.
So we'll see you next time. Until then, keep filming. Bye bye now. Thank you so
Make
much.
movies.